There's one ghost in Luigi's Mansion that probably would have given Luigi an extremely hard time. And truthfully, it would have also given me nightmares. Luigi's Mansion is full of all sorts of ghosts and ghouls just waiting to make Luigi suffer in the game. He may have just won a free mansion, but that package deal comes with a heart attack and a heavy dose of pain. But the thing is, these haunted halls used to be a bit different before the game released. And because of those changes, some of these ghosts were lost to time and never seen by players. But of all the scrap materials, there is one terrifying figure that really would have made this experience a lot more frightening, and that is the lost spirit elh. This is the story of the ghost that still lingers in the files. A ghost that has been perplexing Luigi's Mansion fans for years. I hope you enjoy this bizarre breakdown. So over the past few years, there's been a ton of major discoveries being made in the cult classic Luigi's Mansion. Some of you may have watched my video about how a secret 2-player mode was uncovered that still functioned, and how this mode probably explained the weird Mario model found in the files. However, since that discovery, the findings haven't stopped. Many passionate dataminers like AbsoluteG, Crusader, LMFinish, and others have found quite a lot of things. Things like unused modes for Luigi, modes where he scampers away on the floor, one where he almost looks confused, and another where he shivers in fright as he moves around. Mario, which is that elongated Mario model I talked about in a previous video, has modes for crouching, doing a barrel roll, and throwing a tantrum. The crouching behavior is neat because it makes you wonder if this was simply to avoid damage from flying enemies, or if there were small openings that Mario had to go through. It's kinda cool. Even new enemies like miniature floating boos were discovered. These enemies appeared in the study and washroom originally. And in the existing state, these boos essentially inflate and spin when you suck them long enough with your vacuum. To top off all these new discoveries, 20 minutes of beta footage recently resurfaced on the web showing off a multitude of other cool things. So things certainly have been moving in the world of Luigi's Mansion. But there's still one question that many people want to know. Just what is this entity called elh? So for those of you who are unfamiliar, elh is this creepy abomination that can be found within Luigi's Mansion's files. It's this strange ghostly figure with long droopy arms and essentially no face. It honestly looks like it could be a ghostly skeleton of Gossamer, that red monster character from Looney Tunes. You know, the one with the dope shoes. ELH, or L as I like to call it, doesn't appear anywhere in the game, and the only way to catch a glimpse of him is if you utilize a model swap code to change a character in the game to reflect El's model and leftover behaviors. So if we sacrifice Toad to the Elder Gods, we can raise El from his corpse at the start of the mansion. He's just this hulking, looming figure that stares Luigi down just like Toad would. He has several veiny-like strands that connect his bottom half of his body to his top, and overall, he's a creepy dude. El doesn't have any textures at all, and he's essentially an incomplete package. But it's the missing pieces of El which has made him a super puzzling case when trying to derive his purpose, because all we have are fragments of a puzzle that was essentially erased in the past. So let's go over everything we do know though. First and foremost, El does appear to be some kind of spirit. Judging by his size, I'd imagine he was a difficult foe. If we sort through El's behaviors, we can see that he does have an attack. If Luigi would get close to him, it would be assumed that El would swat him away, probably causing Luigi to stumble backwards. El also rises out of the floor when Luigi first encounters him. That's an interesting thing we'll circle back to later. It looks like El took damage in an unconventional way too. Most spirits get vacuumed up in Luigi's Mansion, but El seems to shiver in his damaged state. We'll talk about how he was possibly damaged in a bit, but one thing I do want to talk about is how creepy and oppressive El's movement animations are. He basically opens his arms wide as he sidesteps about. We don't know if this was for a dodge animation or if he basically matched Luigi's movements. This lets us know that El's feet aren't connected 100% though, because they do move during the sidestep. But by far, the neatest find related to El is his ability to control the elements. Mind you, this is all speculation of course, so take all these assumptions with a grain of salt. Associated with El are a few different particle effects that have confused people for a while. There's 2 particle effects for fire, and 2 particle effects for ice. Which is interesting, because ghosts normally only have 1 element associated with them if they do carry one. But with all this on the table, I kinda want to jump into Theoryland for a bit. So let's use what we know about El, and see if we can theorize where he may have fit in the game. Right off the bat, I'd assume this character was powerful. He's much larger than any other ghost we encounter, and honestly, that made me think that possibly this was a scrap boss at first. Or perhaps an early form of Bogmire. They definitely have a similar flow to their character, and with El rising out of the floor, I can see him warping around an arena and attacking from afar. And if we take into consideration the particle effects found associated with him, we can concur that El was a late game enemy. Obviously, that's just a guess, but if he's wielding dual elements, I imagine Luigi would need access to all the elements to counterattack him. No other ghost utilizes multiple elements, which is why I was thinking that L could have been a boss, despite him having no such label. But there's another theory that we can derive from L's build too. Perhaps L wasn't a boss, but a late game enemy in the last acts of the game that served as a combination of element ghosts. Perhaps a combination of multiple temper tears and flashes, the fire and ice ghosts, could combine into L. It's a completely ungrounded claim, but the trolled spine of L just makes me think of a combined entity. With the power of these ghosts, perhaps that's where the elemental attacks come into play. Perhaps L would attack with one element and defend with the other. It could possibly explain why his damaged state mimics a ghost when they are hit with an elemental blast and their HP starts to wither. But whether L was a late game boss, an early form of Bogmire, or one of the toughest enemies in the game, his discovery always left Mario fans feeling a little bit on edge. We may never know his true purpose or what he actually looked like with textures. L has been left to rot in this unfinished state deep within the files of Luigi's Mansion. A ghost that exists, but will never be seen. And with that, if you like this spooky tale, why not subscribe right now for more content just like this? Regardless, I'll see you all soon. Cheers.